Hey guys,
Oh my goodness,
now we're
that was
live.
amazing. No, I'm kidding.
Hey guys, welcome to the Writer's Journey. I'm your host, Lauren Moore, and with me is Kayleen Williams. We are two authors on a journey to learn more about writing success, and thanks for joining us on tonight's ride. Tonight we are talking about the business side of writing, and for that, we got the best guest I could find on the topic, and that is Michael Anderle.
How are
So
you
thanks
ladies
for joining.
doing? Oh, absolutely. I appreciate being on here. It's an honor to be with you, ladies.
Oh,
Thanks so
thanks.
much.
Kayleen, you've got a party going on at your house.
Yeah, my daughter turned 8 today, and I threw together a little birthday party, and I had to have a timer on my phone. I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go, so everybody
Hi!
have fun.
An important conversation that's happening
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
Are they
All
still
right.
there?
No, I think everybody was just getting ready to leave, but Willow was screaming about someone stealing her Hatchimals, so Graham's had to handle that one. So I'll figure out what happened later.
Thank you, Grams.
Right.
All right, so tonight we're talking about the business side of writing, and we brought on Michael Anderle. Michael has a company, a publishing company that has published over 500 titles so far. And tonight on Amazon, I checked his stats, and he is number 3 in science fiction in Amazon overall, and number 3 in fantasy right now. And I hear you've been quite high in Amazon overall in your rankings too.
Yeah. It's been over 2 years now, I think, that I've been in the top 100 of the store. And typically I'm in top 30 or top 20. But Amazon has been doing very well with their marketing. And every freaking week they push out a lot of their own stuff. And I can look at it right now and go, okay, A.G. Riddle, who's I've met in passing, he has a new book out. So he'll be in the top 1 in sci-fi for a while. And that George R.R. Martin, man, every time HBO comes around, his damn stuff sells really well. And I keep getting kicked down by him. It's like, you were not here 2 weeks ago. HBO, I hate you.
Yeah, but you're an indie author and you're taking him on, and so that makes us really excited. Well,
Yeah,
you've
thank
got your
you.
own company, so
Yes, the company, yes. We're all doing it together to some degree. But yeah, the LMBPN, I did hack the top 100. I mean, that's kind of what I'm known for is my first personal book I wrote. I released on November 2nd of 2015. And I released 3 books, wrote 2 and released 3 in that month, November. I released one in December, one in January. And by January that month, I had made over $10,000 that month. And then basically 1 year later, I was doing 6 figures a month, personal on my
wow.
books.
So that
So
was 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
3.5, yeah.
That's awesome. High five.
There we go. High five.
Yes.
So it just, one of the things that we commonly see and commonly hear are people going, write your stuff, but don't ever expect to sell. Right? Do this, but don't worry about that. And I'm like, that's not what I've ever said. And so a lot of my message to people has been, indie writing has been able to change my life financially. Granted, it was something I set out to do, but even then, I encourage a lot of people through the 20 books to 50K group, push yourself on the business side because you can make a change in your life. For myself, I know when I had kids, I know what it meant to have $200 for Infamil. That crap is expensive.
Hugely. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and diapers. I mean, you just look at that alone. I thought I had a raise when we went from Infamil to regular milk.
Yeah. I calculated diapers once and about had a heart attack. I'm like, we've spent what in a year?
Yeah, and then you go, I could do cloth diapers, and you do one cloth diaper, and you're done. All of a sudden, all those cloth diapers become rags for the dad.
Oh my goodness.
So did you have a business background before you went into indie publishing?
Yeah, technically I did. I didn't have any official business training through college or anything like that, but I did own my own small marketing business that worked to integrate offline and online sales. So I had a background in advertising, Facebook ads, Google ads, and I've been a lifelong reader. So I call myself, I kind of phrase it as a whale reader. Right behind me here is the Aria Hotel, and my concept was, someone who reads at least 50 books a year, a book a month, 2 weeks off, or a book a week rather. And so I apportioned and looked at it and said, I wanted to go after people like me, which meant that I needed at least 3 books because I didn't really look at series until 3 books were out. So I needed to rush. That's why I wrote 3 books really fast and before I was allowing myself to advertise. And a few things hit well, and a few things I hit on the button, even though I had no clue because I didn't study anything about the indie book business until after I was releasing the book and went, oh crap, I need to put out a website. I need to grab my,
Darn it.
yeah, I
Gotta
spent the
play
whole
catch up.
time, yeah, getting the book out, and then like, oh, what if someone actually likes it? And oh no, damn, oh shit, and
Yeah.
so and went and build all of that. But I had the technical expertise to do it, so I was able to put it up in a couple of days.
All
Yeah,
right, so I'll ask my last question, then I'll turn it over to Kayleen. What does this phrase, the business side of writing, mean to you, and how did you first start setting it up for your writing?
So when I did it, even though I had the ability I could have paid people for covers, paid people for editing. I come from a technical background, and what that means for me is we have something in the IT sphere called minimally viable product. And that doesn't mean that you have a crap product. It just means that you put the least amount of effort into something to find out if anyone wants it. For example, a very appropriate way on the book side is someone might spend 5 years to write a book and find out no one wants to read it. Well, I wasn't going to do that. My question was as a writer and not understanding like how slow people would write, I just knew what I could do. And for me, it wasn't any big deal at the time to write a book in a couple of weeks. So I would write the books, and I, wrote them in 9 days or 11. And then I was going to put it out there and find out, did anyone want this story? And if not, I'm tying that sucker up and I'm going to the next story. I'm going to try until I hit something people want to read. It happens that my first set of stories was very well received, so I didn't have to go to book two, or a second series. So business, I need to make money. I need this viable business to be supporting itself, not me supporting it by doing something else. So I kept my costs low. I spent to figure out whether or not anybody wanted it. And when they did, I used the income to help build up the business itself. So that included marketing, better covers, any of the number of things. And so it does irritate me at times to have some people as if they are the prophet on the mountain saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I'm like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do the other. And by the way, I've got a million reasons why I think it was okay to do it that way. What do you have? And that typically shuts them up. And I'm okay. It's good advice. It's great advice to have editing. I can tell you why I kind of screwed up a little bit. But that doesn't mean you have to have it in order to be able to be successful in business. It comes from a different mentality. Some people were probably screaming at me right now on the other side of this video going,
What is he
you're going to
talking
put
about?
yeah, you have a crap product. No, I don't. We've done this enough that we can ameliorate the concerns and agree a crap product is a crap product. Merely because we did it quickly doesn't make it a crap product. You can do a very crap product and it took you 3 years. Time is not the issue here. So I don't know. Did that answer your question, or did I just ramble?
No,
No.
yeah, I think it did. I mean, as a business, you need to find, whatever your business might be. Tonight it's books. What is that story, the characters, the world, whatever it might be? Is this something that the readers out there want to read? If it's not, then you need to find something that does. Because if you keep pushing on something that readers don't want, then you're just, throwing your money at a fire.
Yeah, you have artist expression, right? And typically some of the people listening are probably going to go, "What if it's my art? I don't want to go just write for this because it's like great." Now, is there actually anything that you would love to write and someone would want to read? Because it's not their. Here's the thing. So I had a discussion one time with a person who was very into Japanese, and that's what they wanted to write. It was about the country of Japan, and they would write stories set in it. Well, that's not a very big market, A. B, they're writing in English, so now they've just cut their foot off again. And so to find the individuals who in English will read a story about something in Japan, that's based in Japan is a very minor market. And so in order for you to attain enough fans in order to support yourself, you have to go find the one that's in, Poughkeepsie and the 14 that's in New York City and the 12 that's in LA or whatever it is. You have to gather them from all over the world. And yet if you were to write, say, an urban fantasy, book. Well, now you have 100,000 that are in Los Angeles that write it, and 400,000 in some other place that would be potentially interested. And so your marketing efforts, which goes back to your business, your marketing efforts are easier. I chose to go all in on Amazon because as I looked at across, I've said I'm one person. I don't have the time to go wide. Do I believe Amazon is going to close down tomorrow? No, I don't. And so I went all in on Amazon, which at the time in 2015 was, oh my gosh, wide, close, just that whole religious discussion about it. And are we going wide with LMBPN? A little bit. We're testing the waters. Audio, we're definitely going wide. We're not going all in on Audible anymore. And so those were business decisions based on what was going on and what the opportunity is. And so we'll go where we think the best business reason to go there is.
So from what I can hear, definitely when you're approaching this as a business, you need to think, what type of business do you want to have? How much time do you have to invest in it? E.g. going all in with Amazon or being able to go wide through all of the others. But through that, when an author is, approaching this as is, what are some like key areas that they need to consider other than just, what of this business? Here, my eyes got all big. Big question, maybe. Trying to find a tighter way to say it.
Well, let me see if I can answer a question and see if it fits or give you some information and see if it answers your question. From the business side of things, it is so trite, but I have seen that covers sell. Covers sell crap books. Yeah. No argument whatsoever. Yeah. Finding that particular artist that can give you a cover that can sell a book, regardless of what's inside, a little bit harder. One of the ways that I've done it, when I found out that, just because I could afford expensive covers doesn't mean it was a good business reason to do it. I took a year and 6 figures to learn that one. So I'm not necessarily suggesting you should do that. But I found very good high selling covers for $400 or less. One of the ways that I did it is I went searching on all the pre-made cover sites, and I went through thousands of these. Anytime I found a pre-made cover that was in my range of being able to purchase, I would track that artist back to their website and find out what I could get their created covers for. So I might get, they might say that they're willing to sell a pre-created cover for $110 and their made for you covers $175 as an example. All of a sudden now I'm finding people all over the world who are giving me really good quality covers for what I want and the style that I want for $800 less than I was paying before. It's a big difference. So covers, incredibly important to sell your book. It's the most important marketing. Title, blurbs, not that hard. It seems like it is in the beginning. And what I did is I went and used BookBub, got their email, grabbed a whole bunch of them, and I just studied their little 3. They are taught how to get you interested in a book to go to the page in 2 sentences, 3 maybe. Why do we need 15 sentences to sell something if they can get you moving in 3? So I typically do around 9 to 12, but it's very, our blurbs are very Mad Libs. Do y'all know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Our blurbs are very Mad Libs. Here's the capture. Here's this. Italicize that. Bold this one. Blank this one. Italicize that. Make sure you ask this. And by God, did you have a call to action, which can be as simple as go up to the top and click read now. Yes, I will go to the top, But people forget that. And so, make a Mad Libs out of it. That's how I did it. BookBub, grabbed a whole bunch of them, created that's the structure. And by God, don't tell people what the hell your book's about. If you don't know how to do it, make everything in your blurb a question. Can they get out of this? It's like as soon as you want to start telling someone, change it to a question. And then from there, look at it and say, okay, can I take some of the questions out? But you just want to get people excited and curious. We talked about before we got on, we talked about how I said as book sellers and authors who are working to sell their books, we're in the drug business. If you really break it down, we're in the drug business. It's dopamine. Check it out. Look at it. The problem is that readers love different drugs. Some readers want horror as their drug of choice. How their body physiologically relates to a horror story is different than how I get scared. I get scared. Bleep. I'm not buying your book in order for you to scare me. Why don't I just go ahead and ask someone and say, here, I'll give you $1, slam my hand with a hammer. I'm not going to do it, you know. But if you give me another story that does hit the dopamine, which for me happens to be, action, justice, family, which is either your personal family, but typically your friends that you create, having some people's back, that's my drug of choice, and humor. And I'll go to that every single time, but we are stratified as humanity. So it doesn't mean that just because I happen to like your book and your book has those things and John's book has those things, y'all might change up the way that you did the recipe for that. And I find out I just can't get into John's, even though he has all of those things. Where's the benefit to that? It means that nobody can typically own the audience and own the world. Even J.K. Rowling, as Craig Martell likes to say, advertises. Everybody needs more fans. And so, yes, some people get it. But if you look at the history of like J.K. Rowling, you'll find out Scholastic, she had sold in the UK, nice amount of money, 6 figures. But it was Scholastic here in America that bet their farm that they could actually sell her and made it one of the hugest, biggest successes. So that took marketing and not just the story. Because when I went to Dragon Con last year, I asked a few of the people. Dragon Con's almost 100,000 people across 7 hotels and, Lord, 5 blocks and everything else. It's a party. If you ever want, that's hands down, go once. But what I asked the people who were, they're just volunteers. They drove us because I was a potential award winner, lost. But as a potential award winner, they took us from the airport, to our hotel. And I would ask people, why do you do this? Almost all of them came down to discoverability. We need more people. We need to find new authors. In fact, one lady said, you know what? I was watching this particular panel. There was an author there I had forgotten I liked.
Oh, jeez.
And then they're like, I'm going to go back and find out what she's written before. It's discoverability at the end. That's what's going to help us, and we need that. So blurb, cover, blurb, the story, obviously, I guess it doesn't go without saying advertising, social, terribly important when you're just getting started. Start your social up because you can get people excited about other books in your genre that you feel that if they like X, they might like you. And the easiest way to do that is look on your bookshelf. Whether it's virtual or real, look up there and go, well, what do I like reading? That's kind of what I wrote in the beginning is I wrote something that I would want to read. And when people loved it, I just had to go, do I like this? Because that's what my fans like. I didn't make it to market so as much as I said, okay, I'm going to write this because I find it interesting and I find this interesting, and broke some rules that I didn't realize were there in the first place.
So I'm sensing a pattern. You're not reinventing the wheel with any of this here. You're looking at the books that you enjoy, that you see sell well, that you see people love, and you're trying to craft a story like that. And you've got to write a blurb. You're looking at the blurbs that actually work, that they're on BookBub, so they're definitely working. They're getting those clicks. They're getting people on. When you're looking at covers, you're looking for cover design that are selling, that are interesting you, and you're searching for those cover artists from the websites where you found them on.
Yeah, if you look at covers are a filter. If I'm looking, and mind you, please understand, I'm looking at it. What the heck? Apparently, phone's on. That was something else. So when you look at covers, those of us that are whale readers look at them as a filter. I want something on my cover that lets me know immediately it's within the genre of stuff I've liked before. I don't want to go through a bunch of things that are unique. Now, some will, but it's a small percentage of the market. So you have a chance to get a very unique cover, and maybe you'll hit it out of the park, but it's 1 in 1,000. If it's a business, most businesses won't bet the farm on that. If you have it to do it, fine. You might get fortunate, you might get lucky, you might have that little bit of knowledge that the rest of us don't have. I don't have it, so I tend to go into the market. What is selling? What do I like? The other part is, don't worry about what worked for me 3 years ago. That's gone. You can be fresh every 6 months. Our industry, within reason, changes that often. So, yeah, everyone, when I got in 2015, everyone was bemoaning Oh, the big good times are gone. Oh, it's so hard to do now. Oh, this is true. And then I get in, and we have what I call a freshman class of 2015, where many of us were successful. And now I go 2 years later, and what am I hearing? Oh, it's not as easy as it was in 2015. Oh, it's always,
It's
oh, this
always
is a
something.
problem. And I'm like, wait a minute, people. In 2015, I couldn't go to find 10,000 pre-mades. I couldn't use Scrivener, or I couldn't use, um, it escapes me, the one that helps build the paperback and
Develop.
yeah, vellum. We didn't have some of these things, or if they were, they weren't the quality they are now. Stop bemoaning what was so easy and realize it wasn't easy in 2011. They didn't have some of the tools we have now. We keep thinking that there's this, oh, what we have now just back then. No.
So get butt in the chair, write a story that you both are interested in, that is definitely going to find some readers, but you also need to know where to find those readers. Research the covers, find something in that genre that sticks, make it your own. Yeah, all of that. That's a lot to like whittle down, but I agree. Yes. So okay. So with that, we had made a list of different topics to cover. So I'm gonna go with this first one because it's kind of tucking into what you're saying. You know, authors are bemoaning things. They're just like, oh my gosh, the markets, the this, the that. So what sort of advice can you give to staying motivated?
And you're a very motivated person.
Yes.
So this one it will be easy for you to answer and hard at another one. And for me, I'm thinking of when I've got a full day ahead of me and it's just me and my computer and I need to get writing, but no one's holding me accountable. Like how do we hold ourselves accountable?
What is your mountain? What do you want? I'll just get real quick. What do you want?
He's really asking you. That was
What do you
not.
want?
It's not rhetorical.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not rhetorical at all, because I think the best way for you to help your fans, and the reason you did this podcast, I believe, is not only to help yourself, but them, others. Let's take it through the process. I've done this with dozens or more of people over the last 3 years. What do you want? Some people want to be on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
What is it you want?
I've read books that have just touched me and moved me and taken me to other worlds, but made me laugh, made me cry. I want to write a book like that. And for me, success will be when I get my first fan note from a hospital saying, "Read your book." You know, it meant a lot to me. That's what I want, to get my book out there, to get that response.
So, in general, money is not a motivator for you. It was for me, but it's not for you.
Not as much. But it should be, because that's how you can keep doing it, right? Your books are expensive to write, they're expensive to get out there, and they should pay for themselves.
We have some classics where the person wrote 2 books. That's it, because their first book hit it so big, and they had issues thinking about a second book, right? They just couldn't do it. And that first book changed the world for a lot of people. So, yeah, you can say that, you know what, that I need to. So, no, not necessarily. You can choose to write a book a year. Put that into it. Make sure your emotions are there. There's ways for you to get the book written. Print it. High quality printing is not cheap, or is not expensive, and go deliver those books to the hospitals. Get them in their hands, because yes, people who are bored and they're readers, they're like, oh, you have some? Just make sure it's quality, make sure it's whatever, and just say, hey, I'm a local author. I would love to do this for people, and make sure your email is in there so that you can attain and get that email. You're done. Congratulations. It has nothing to do with the business. Nothing. And that's what I think that sometimes I try to bring to people and go, folks, we don't have to do any rules that what you learned before. If you learn what your motivation is, by putting those books in. Now, here's another thing that only recently I'd learned. Go do a Kickstarter and say that this is my book. I want to put 5,000 of these books into hotels, and it's going to cost $12, $15 a book. And then you go, if you get enough of these orders, you can go to a printer and get the books printed for $1.50 a piece. Let's say 5,000. $1.50 a piece, and you'll actually make a few $1,000s on this effort to get your books into hospitals to where it doesn't come out of your pocket. But know what your mountain is, know what you're climbing, so that you understand, are you attaining what you want? And then if the answer I gave you is not what you thought, rethink whether or not you knew what your mountain was. Because if you want the people to say, I loved your book and it made, and then, oh yeah, by the way, I want income from that. That's a slightly different market, different mountain. There was a podcast called the Part-Time Writers Podcast, and it was C.M. Raymond, Ellie Brabant. They don't do it anymore because they could have gone full time. But I had this same discussion with them. It was like in November or December of the year. And I had the same discussion, and they're like, well, we want to make money. I said, but you're writing like literature quality superhero stories. People who want literature are over here on this mountain. People who want superhero stories are on this mountain. How many times do you think people go from one mountain to the other? Almost never. So your ability to sell lit superhero, not that much. So, think about it. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. The thing is, both of those guys were in the college and universities. They love some of the classics. And yet they also liked this other thing. I'm like, that's great, but you two are kind of unique. Not too many readers are professors and everything else and are willing to admit that they like superhero stories.
Well, most of our audience, we're trying to make ends meet. We're putting in enormous amounts of time into the writing, and also having families and all that. So we are looking to make money off of it, So we should put that in as a motivating factor. How do we stay motivated?
Okay, so go ahead. Yeah, I didn't ask you. Your turn.
No, I was just gonna say my mountain. I have to look at it in pieces, because if I look at it too far ahead, then I get very depressed, because that is very far away, right? So my initial, I guess, small hill is I want to be able to make my car payment every month.
Perfect.
So
yeah, that is a very legit dollar amount.
Yeah, once I'm able to do that, I want to be able to pay all my bills every month.
You want to go full time.
Yeah, I do eventually want to go full time, but I have to see it in those smaller steps. Otherwise, the larger mountain that I'm actually climbing just like makes me want to crawl into a hole and cry. So.
Okay. So putting the fingers in your ears so you don't hear yourself talk. What is that big mountain? Just so I understand it real quick.
Full sustainability financially. Basically, everything that they pay for now through my day job and whatnots, it seems insurmountable.
Okay, so you're talking to a person who's done it and helped other people do it. So if you're talking about like it seems insurmountable, I'm like, well, $600,000 a month seemed insurmountable, and now I've done it multiple times. So, and I don't mean as in multiple times every other month or something. What I mean is I've helped other people move themselves forward, even moving to $10,000 a month. For some people, I retired my wife. My wife was was a global marketing director for a $50 billion company, so it was a portion of that. And you can imagine she had an income of multiple six figures, and to retire her was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I accomplished it, right? And so when you say it, I mean, and by the way, just if anyone's listening, the most fun when you're looking at like Book Report or AK Report, when they're looking at your income every 10 minutes. Each time you start getting a little bit different, the first time that you make 1,000 KE&P page reads in a day, you dance higher than when you get 100,000 KE&P pages in a day. It's the most fun in the world. So enjoy this piece, because each one becomes more believable than the last one. And so now it becomes a little ho-hum. We have to give you some opportunity to think. I have a book now that's over 30 days. Well, probably the last 21 days, that book has made 100,000 KE&P pages a day or more. So if you know the numbers, KE&P page is worth a little bit less than half a penny a page. So you're talking $4,000, no, $400 of income for that book in Kindle Unlimited per day alone. So in your case, unless you have a really expensive Mercedes,
No,
which you might, I don't know, you know.
I don't even know how much gas is in it because the gas gauge is stuck on all full. So I have to like calculate and math out what my gas is. Anyway,
Okay.
but
So in your case, the way that I would structure the answer is like, all right, tell me the genres you love. Real quick. What are the genres you love to read?
fantasy, sci-fi,
Okay.
and some romance.
Do you like okay, romance is a great component. If you're not going to go romance, if
Yeah.
you're
No.
not going to go all the in, then adding romance into something is a great opportunity, as is humor. So we look at that and I go, okay, well, fantasy, can you swing into urban fantasy or are you strictly fantasy?
No, I could do.
Okay.
I could do epic. I could do urban.
All right. Urban fantasy makes more money than fantasy, makes more money than sci-fi, makes more money than horror. So right there, I would say, okay, now you're going into urban fantasy. Between the two female protagonists, snarky female protagonist makes a lot more money than a male of any sort, practically. You know, you can look at Jim Butcher, and I happened to meet that author in Colorado a couple months ago, but you know, I make more than him. Why? Because he is very happy doing a book a month or a year, basically. I mean, the Dresden
Wow.
Files.
Peace talks. We've been waiting on that for a couple years now.
Yeah. I'll have to, you know, next time I happen to see him, I'll go, you know, you got some fans who are harassing me about you. But yeah, because and he talked. He goes, I could make more money at this particular. I was at Kevin J. Anderson's Superstar event, and he was up there at the top, and he said, I can make more money if I didn't like enjoy playing video games as much as I do.
Yeah.
That's fine. I knew it.
Yeah. So, but going into it, so urban fantasy. So urban fantasy, female protagonists, snarky characters, because you know we've done enough after 500 books in 3 years. We have a pretty good lay of the genres we're part of, right? Not male because typically 60% of the readers or more are female. So, and the 40% guys will lean toward the males easier than the females will go to the guys. Um, so you go there, you look at the covers that are out there, you track down those artists, find out if you can get on them, because you know, one, when I find an artist that we really love, I try to consume their time because the best business authors are looking to see who did the covers and who's winning, because they can just use that artist and go, do your magic. Your magic is you, you know. So there are tricks to the trade. Um, so from there, Kindle Unlimited versus going wide. Not that it's as hard anymore with draft to digital or publish drive to go wide like it was 3 years ago. Once again, go wide. You can do it now. It's not that big a deal. It is wholly a how do you want to sleep at night question. If you feel more comfortable going, you know what, I'd rather suffer with going wide on the income and build it up over a year or 2 years versus stressing that Amazon's going to do something. And trust me, as a young author, you will flip the freak out if you pay attention to too many author Facebook groups.
Yeah. No, I stopped listening 2 years ago because I'm just like, okay, so they're doing stuff for their business. Just chill out. It will work out fine. Okay, their business too. It'll be okay. Breathe.
No, wise, incredibly wise response. Other people can't seem to get off the drama, and I'm like, if you would have written as many words today as you wrote in your drama posts, you'd be 1,000 words easy, right?
It's like, oh look, there's 1,000 words. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another 1,000 words right there. You know, we'll do anything not to write that story. That's just part of it. So driving ourselves, which we were going back to, but so your car note, right? And in making it, and so you have in the genre, that genre can meet, you got the ability to go refine how much your research time is going to be. You understand your covers, you can get all that stuff done as you're writing it, making sure that it's a character driven, that people like it. You know, that's one of the big things, like I want an anti-hero. A lot of us don't like to read anti-heroes except that rare situation, but it's one of those things like, I'm going to cleanse the palette with an anti-hero, and then I'm going to go back to 12 more regular heroes. You know, so there you go. Learn that a lot of people who are very voiceful in what they like is not the main group. The main group is quiet. So just look at what sells. And that's it. That was in the very beginning. I said, don't get your brother, your mother, your uncle, your aunt to read your books. Go find somebody who likes this stuff and see if they'll pay it for money. I didn't do any beta readers. I just put it out there and go, what's the result? Is anyone buying it? Are they buying the second one? That's what I wanted to know. It was very cheap and I got paid for it. So, think of it that way. $400, $500, $600, completely doable. Don't need to stress that. You just need to get it. And I'll tell you what, you ask me how to do it. If you come through with the pieces that I'm advising, I will put it into one of our Wednesday newsletters, which generally speaking for anyone doing, which are 99 cents, but it'll get you started. That'll be typically 80 to 120 sales with one of our newsletters. That's where we tend to be. And if you're taking it and you've looked at it and I look at what you're doing and I go, okay, I'll, when you have 2 or 3 chapters done, or maybe you have it now, we'll set up where we'll let our fans tell you what they think of it. We'll get it in BookFunnel and you can get that feedback, so we'll help you make that happen to the best of your knowledge. What I have learned is that some authors have what I like to call passion projects. It's like, and it'll usually start with this. I've been working on this since I was 12. This has been in my mind since I was a teenager. And when I hear those words, I'm like, this is a passion project. You probably have to get this out of your system before you do the next thing. So get this story done. Your passion project might be $1 million. Great. But if it isn't, you need to know that fast. And generally speaking, most of the people I've worked with or worked through or helped in any form or fashion, once the passion project is out of the way, at that point, they're more open to listening to the business side of things.
So it's the book they need to just get out, get written, and then they can
if their passion doesn't make money and their intent is to make money, they become more willing to accept practical advice. And practical advice isn't the best advice, it's just practical.
Right. You're still learning from it.
Yes.
Like say urban fantasy is not your favorite, but you want to start there because you want to get your career moving. You're still learning, you're still growing as a writer, and maybe that passion project comes next.
I'll let you go to the next one. Stephen King once said, get your first 1 million words out of you. And then I can tell you that I made $1 million on my first 1 million words. So not all advice is always perfect.
Just got to get out, put it out.
Yeah.
And see, test the waters, because it's not going to go anywhere unless you test the waters. Whether or not you take the advice or not.
And what happens if you decide it didn't work? I think you said you just did something with your books. What did you do?
I did. I unpublished them. They're still in ebook form because they're through Kindle Unlimited. So I'm just waiting for that to kick off, and then those will be pulled. So that was actually my passion project. Those books were the world and the stories that I've been thinking about since I was 10.
There you go.
And I still write in it a little bit, and I will eventually republish them, but that's not going to make my car payment, so I've been writing other stories. I have 5 other outlines going, just trying to see which one am I most passionate about, which of all of these genres that I'm interested in can I sustainably keep writing in should it take off. So that's what I've currently been doing. And I've actually been researching sustainable wormholes if you were to put a prison around it. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. So typically I will tell people hit 80% of the tropes and do something 10% or 20% different, right? What is unique about it? But in general, people feel comfortable like a nice blanket around in a cold night when they know the basics of where I'm at. If you throw too many new things, it's like, oh, we're going to do on a new planet and I'm going to make up a language and then we're not going to have a clue what the religion is. And then we're going to do this. It's too much damn work for many of us. Now, you'll get a small devoted following, but holy crap, most of us are like, next. I just had to deal with Sam today. Like, what do I want to learn this language? But the creative is like, I've got to do this. Now, to be clear to the audience, I did not know why you pulled your books. You had merely said you pulled them. So I just want clarification when I say passion project that we really didn't set that up.
Speaking of passion, JR asks in the chat, why not just start in the genre where you want to be? I want to write exactly what I'm writing. Why tinker elsewhere?
It all depends on what you're doing. I mean, I don't know the genre, but if your mountain, which is why I asked it a little bit before, what is your mountain? And if your mountain like me is, I didn't have a genre mountain. I want to write books that fans want to reread, which is character based, by the way, and I want to make money. You'll notice I never said I want urban fantasy, I want sci-fi, now I happen to actually build something that what I wanted to write was I wanted to write something a little bit contemporary because I didn't want to world build. So I'm like, hey, contemporary, vampires, werewolves, aliens. I'm like, I want all of those because by God, if this hits, and it was a small thought, but it was like, if this hits, I'm going to have to write a lot of them. So I don't want to be stuck. And that's why, and I can tell you 21 books is too many for me. That was at least 5 books too many for me in a series. I was burnt out on that character set. But between the individuals that made it and myself, I'm typically probably making 3 times as much because I stuck with it and I didn't squirrel and go to other passion projects or other projects because I needed to regroup and go, oh man, I've got to get off this vampire story. No, I added everything in there. it was a stew. So you can absolutely do it if you're, what I ended up talking with Lauren about is like, well, you actually said nothing to do with money. So if your mountains doesn't have to do with money, then dude, write whatever you want.
Yeah, that was kind of my problem because I have a genre deficiency. I don't understand them. So when I initially very first put my book out, they're like, well, what is it? And I'm like, well, it's I guess fantasy, certainly sci-fi, might have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know. Which made it really hard. I didn't realize genre was so important for marketing and finding the people. And so.
The phrase is you write what you want to write, but you mark it to a genre.
Yeah.
So your covers look like a genre. Yeah. So you would have to now, if you look at like Witch of the Federation, I was really concerned because this concept, I like it. It's magic and sci-fi. And as you know, it was a lot of time for us to invest and a lot of money for us to invest. And I'm hearing from everywhere they're going, well, Magitech, which is kind of the phrase that stays at the moment, Magitech's not doing that well. Oh God, don't tell me that. That's not what I need to hear. And it just so happened that our artist pulled together an amazing cover, which evoked an emotional response, and it worked. So that you have a sci-fi with a magical person, but man, I was sweating bullets that I'm like, oh crap, I have crossed 2 genres and this is not peanut butter and chocolate. I don't know what we're going to do here.
Yeah, that was pretty much like what everyone could. You can't do that. You have to take the sci-fi aspect out. And I'm like, fuck you. No, I'm not.
Oh, thank God you cussed because I'm like, I cussed again. Oh, man.
No, you're good. You're good. So I'm going to pause really quick to do our show sponsor real quick, and then we will jump back in because I know Lauren is just burning right here. I can see it in her face. So show sponsor tonight is Covers for a Cure. It is happening this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central through Keystroke Medium. It's our 3rd annual Covers for a Cure. The past 2 events have been so good. They brought in over $6,000 to 2 different charities, but this year it's going to somebody very special, to Josh and Scott. Their friend and coworker, police detective Matt Young, is recently diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, to the point where they just had to stop counting the tumors. So, and there was nothing they could do about them. They gave him about 3 to 6 months to live. So they want to be able to help him and his family. They're working through a 501c3, the Honor Adversaries Foundation, that they'll be donating 100% of the proceeds to. And, if in our covers that, he set them up in the Covers for a Cure page are freaking gorgeous. But if you either are not so much sci-fi writer or aren't currently in the market, you can still donate if you want to. Go to Keystroke Medium. He has the link on there to be able to donate. Just my heart goes out to this guy. So yeah, we'll be here Saturday. What was that time again? Because I'm going to
2
have to
o'clock.
remember. Thank you. He's on it. 2 p.m. Eastern. It's noon for me, so it's very confusing with all the time zones. Just go to keystroke.medium@gmail.com to register. I do believe he's going to be cutting it off though at noon Central Time.
So I don't think that you've said that these are covers by Tom Edwards.
Oh yes, Tom. Thank you. That's what I was looking for as I was
And Jamie
rambling.
Glover.
Tom Edwards and Jamie Glover are donating the covers, and the 3 that I've seen, holy crap! There's this one crystal one, and I'm going to be jumping on that one so hard because it's absolutely gorgeous.
And then, so these where you basically put the money down and see who bids the most?
So yeah, so the way it works, they're going to have a live YouTube going, and then the bidders have their own private group channel in Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So in the comments, there is a bidding war. So the person who gets the bid, and then you just keep going up from there. Last year, there was a bid. It was at 300. I was very tempted to go to 301, but I dropped out, and they won. I think it was the full story outline.
Now you're killing me here because I shouldn't be doing this, but now I have to open a Safari and go, where is this? Because I love covers. I mean, covers are.
Everyone who bids but doesn't win is entered to get a Kindle
Fire, and then I think there was also another Kindle reading device, one of the newest ones, and then a Kindle Paperwhite is also in the drawing. So if you don't win in bidding, and Josh also did say if you do donate, you can also be put into that draw for the Kindle Fire or the Kindle Paperwhite. But yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Okay. So where is it again?
No,
and that sounds like it's a plug, like tell me to me one more time. But honestly, I've got my Safari open because y'all have Chrome, Google Hangouts, and I'm over here going, damn it, I can't find it.
I'm trying to find the link.
in the Keystroke Medium Facebook group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when you head over to Facebook. Yeah, so Tom Edwards, I got a chance to meet him, rub his elbow, so to speak, over in Vegas last year. And, I had no idea. So I give Craig Martell, one of my collaborators and partners in crime, a lot of crap about his covers that sucked horribly when I met him. And he jumped from sucked horribly, which means he did them, in, I think, PowerPoint, no less, and then over to Tom Edwards. So he kind of went from the lowest to one of the best in what was going on. But Tom is a straight up amazing and fun guy. And if I remember correctly, now you know what, I better not say that. I'll probably end up just it would not be pretty if I mistake what I'm about to say.
No.
And Josh is in the chat. He's saying Tom's post on Facebook has all of his pictures that he is donating to Covers for a Cure. And they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. And I can't find it. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, no, because I'm on Facebook as well, and I'm hitting keyword medium, and my search is not pulling you up. I mean, what the hell's wrong with my search?
Wait, let's see. Josh, okay, so I'm going to do a screen share.
Here we go.
Real quick.
Yes.
Can I do that, Josh? Can I screen share this? I'm screen sharing it. I'm not even looking. I'm doing it.
It is okay.
Screen share, and I have to do application window. Why is it that?
How do I want to join?
I want to do my entire
join as me. Or is
no,
this beyond?
that's the wrong one. Stop sharing. Stop sharing.
Don't look at it. What's it?
Oh, no.
Are you recording this on video? Oh, there it is. All of Tom's covers.
Okay, well, he found it. Why is won't? Oh wait, I'm gonna try this. There we go.
Well, facebook.com/group/keystroke medium, all one word, no paragraph, no spaces, no dashes, no crap.
Okay, now we're in business. Okay, so these are the covers for from Tom Edwards. This is the first one that I am absolutely in love with.
Oh.
Absolutely.
It's like all of a sudden someone's like, Lisk walks in and all they hear is, oh my gosh, this is an author podcast, I swear. Oh, see, that one there appeals to me.
Yeah, this is the one Josh almost wouldn't let come through for covers. He was like, I might just buy this because this one I'm in love with. And this is the third one. This one is really cool too. Spacey
So
battle.
much action.
Yes, exactly. Action.
So those are cool, and I haven't seen. I've only seen one from the other guy. So
Jamie Clover.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, I had that's a new name to me. So
And it's a mech that is really pretty awesome. But yeah, so come join us this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern.
wow, they did not grab a nice picture of me. I'm like live on the writer's journey. I'm like, wait, that looks like that looks like what we're doing right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
James McCormick. There is a mech with a lady warrior in front, and the detail just on her face and her stuff is amazing. So
okay, we've got
all of that.
9 minutes left.
Unless you want to go over, then that's okay.
Topics. Can we do them really quick?
How do you absolutely. And by the way, I'm more than welcome to go over. I have nothing going on. I work till late at night.
Okay, that's fine. All right, maybe we'll do that. All right, this is a little boring, but it's really important. How do you keep track of your expenses and earnings? Like, do you use a spreadsheet? Do you use a Word document? Like, how do you keep track?
Well, you have a business account and a business credit card. And after that, everything becomes a lot easier. So just create a special account, and you can go open a personal account, which I think it doesn't have to be, but it does need to be a unique. And then of course with a unique account, you get a unique debit card. So always you can use that if you just want to be a cash kind of, and then a special credit card strictly for business. I've used American Express. I find that they tend to be really good at just creating the reports I have to give to my CPA, because I'm horrible about these things. And other than that, the Amazon income and the other ones go into your business account, and Bob's your uncle.
And then do you recommend LLCs for just
Yeah, I didn't in the beginning. We certainly built one, as things become more popular, but there are some aspects to IP. And I mean, if you really intend to get really involved in this stuff, look up IP as related to trusts and having it with the business, because there might be tax questions related to it if later you want to move the IP out of the business itself. And then, taxable events, I think they call it. But that's a really advanced situation, and you probably have the money to deal with it if you have to. But if you like to be that person that plays in the events, you could get a little bit more complicated and put your IP into a trust and then lease that IP over to your company. So
then IP is intellectual property, right?
Yes, all of the rights, because you have so many of them. We sell like to Tantor and Podium Publishing and others. We sell the audio rights, but we also do some of our own books. So because we are so prolific, we don't produce all of our own audio. We just, quite frankly, don't have the income to do that. And so, we'll license out some IP on the audio side. We've got German distribution where we do translations, where we have a company over in Germany that's our partner in doing German. We've got Spanish that's going on. And ergo, there would also be opportunity for now audio in those languages. And so it proliferates quite a bit what you can do and how you can set it up. We're going to be, this goes into publishing, which is way more complicated. I'll come back to talk about that one if you ever care to.
That's a good idea. Absolutely. And then how do you get together your production team? Although you've kind of already gotten into that a bit.
Slack. Holy crap, Slack. I pay probably $700 a month for Slack because it's $7 per person, and we have at least typically around 100 people that I pay for in the company. So that sounds like a lot, but you can do it free. Get on Slack. Then you start only paying $7 if you want to get past 10,000 messages or something. But it has facilitated us creating an international, worldwide company where we have artists in South Africa, or editors in South Africa, artists in Transylvania, collaborators in Australia, and we're able to work pretty much 24 hours a day. Everybody that so far that I've encouraged to get on and they didn't want to, I've had one artist say, I only work in email, and my answer was, my company only works in Slack. Guess which one of us is gonna either, that's not gonna be working with us? She got very upset I wouldn't change, and I'm like, I'm the one giving the money here. What the hell? But other than that, almost everybody is willing to come in and work in Slack, and it is a really effective way to go without walls for your company. So I think that answered the question.
So I do have to say we use Slack in Keystroke, not as prolifically. We really probably should use it a bit more, but it's super easy. I mean, you can have it on your phone, you can have it on your tablet, your basic computer, your everything, and it just connects you. You can do private chats. You can have, you know, the running things that I just lost the word for.
Messages.
Chat. Thank you. Yeah, with multiple people, and they can be private, they can be public. So you can name them. Channels. Thank you. You can have private channels, open channels. It's awesome. So yes, I agree.
Is Slack the tool that you use for workflow for each project, like making sure the project's in the right stage and getting through to each person that needs to?
Yeah, I see what you're asking. And in general, I have a large organization, so we have a legitimate operations VP of audio. We have we have a lot of people, but we grew it in Slack because it's not that damn complicated. We write something, you get it edited, you attach it with a blurb and a cover, and the thing goes on in Amazon. Now, granted, we have Facebook ads. I mean, you can make this really complicated if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just build channels for your strategy and move them, because you can name the channel pretty much anything you want. The limitation, of course, is how many characters you can name. But if you wanted to make a strategy of just saying, okay, O1 is create the book, O2 is get it to the editor or get it to the beta readers, O3 is get it to the editor, or 4 is, that you went down the path, you could. We just haven't had it. Now, the one who has a really complicated spreadsheet is Lynn Stigler, whose company runs our editing. And I put the goal to do 400 titles this year. So last year, when I told everyone in the team this is my goal, first they laughed. They thought it was a great big joke. They thought it was very funny. And then I actually said it a few times that you were serious about that. And so, each team that required to figure out what they do had to start figuring out how to get more efficient. And so Lynn's team has a very complicated schedule of when is the book coming in, which editor is taking it, who should have it by this time, when is it coming out? Because, they have at any one time, they probably have 10 books in editing. And, we ramped up to 2 million words of editing capability in a month. So, wow. Yeah. So, we'll put out 300 to 400 titles easily this year. Still trying to hit my 400, putting 400 titles out. That's the size of some companies with 50 to 100 employees. We don't have any employees. Everybody is, I hire out to the companies. So it's all in Slack.
Ship shape, keep it working.
Yep.
So, we answered that one with workflow and team management tools. Definitely Slack. So the other one that we have written here is money sending receiving tools. So
we do, some companies or some of the people I talk to have issues because their company or their bank doesn't do this. We use Wells Fargo. And so with Wells Fargo, I'm able to, direct deposit to quite a few people. So at the end of the month, my goal is to always have everybody paid within 5 business days. Typically, I have everybody paid for collaborations within 2 business days of me receiving the money because we already have it set up. If you would like to do it a little easier, if you're wide, then absolutely look at Publish Drive and some of the others because they have the ways to actually tell you how much is people getting paid, how much do you need to pay them. So PayPal is the other one. And with PayPal, you can use credit cards in case you want to do a cash flow situation. So you pay through there, you track it. I mean, once again, I could get into the more complicated aspects of cash flow and, the businesses become merely issues of money. For instance, let's say that a particular book is going to cost $5,000 to produce. Now, I have operated my business for the first couple of years strictly out of cash flow, but I was able to do it because I was making $100,000 plus a month. So there was a lot of money that I could throw, and that was unfortunately, that was my IRS tactic to make sure I didn't pay a lot of taxes. I'll just invest it back in my company at a 40% savings. Ha ha! Yeah, not the brightest choice in the world, but it wasn't a bad choice. But if you look at that $5,000, let's pretend that you're running it on even an expensive 18% credit card, which is expensive. I'm not saying this is smart. It's just easy math for me. 1.5% per month. If a book takes you 3 months to accomplish, putting it together, getting it, writing it, covers, everything else, and it was $5,000, you've now spent about $450 in interest, simple interest on the $5,000 spend, assuming you spend it all at January 1, which you won't, but simple. So now we're at $450 at day 90. You put that book on sale. You will not get anything for that book for 90 more days. Is that fair? Because it'll take 30 days of sales and then 2 months before you get anything.
Yep.
So now you're at, what is that, $900 worth of interest, basically. You've been paying some minimums or whatever. Let's pretend, for the sake of argument, that you know your area well enough and you make that $5,900 back in the first month. A little rough, doable, but rough. And you just move it out if you'd like to be more conservative with this. So at 180 days, you have the money. You've paid it all off, because you had to pay the 5,000 original plus your 900. Now, you had nothing out of pocket. It all came from your actual book you sold, right? Now, you have a product. That product now costs you nothing and will probably make you a couple of grand if, assuming the 5,900 goes to 2,000, 1,500 to 1,000. You just made $2,000 on a $900 investment.
Huh. That doesn't seem quite as scary.
It's the same thing as, well, yeah, but you have to know your market, right? Because people might just be now going, oh, this is great. But it's the same leverage of you doing a house. It is literally the same concept as buying and selling real estate.
So, okay, yeah, value of your product. And the only way you're going to know that is if you find your audience.
Yeah, it's not something I suggest everybody start right away and go do.
Yeah.
Remember, I started mine I bought $20 image and I made the first covers myself. So I tend to be a little risk adverse and still risky, if I believe it's a good risk. If I don't know, that's not a good risk.
All right. This one it is creating a business environment at home or as a one-man operation. So how do you create an environment that keeps you focused on the business and minimizes distraction when it's just you? You're it in your whole company.
Before I started writing, I had my own company in what we talked about before in the sales and marketing related to online and offline sales. I would build websites and integrate with salespeople to make sure during the sales funnel what questions needed to be asked. Because if a salesperson is answering a question someone could get it for, that salesperson's $200 an hour. Much better if we actually integrated that online and the person could get it themselves. The salesperson is now answering the hard questions, not the easy softball questions. So I worked alone a lot. And what I found is I had a beautiful office in Texas. It's not like I come from no money. My wife is making a good amount of money. So I had a beautiful office with the colors and everything else I wanted and a desk overlooking a pretty street. And man, I was lonely. Damn, I was lonely. So I had the perfect environment for nothing. I could play music. But finally, I had to get out of the house. So I ended up going and found that there was a country club nearby. It wasn't expensive per month. And I ended up joining it, not for golf, but because in the restaurant, I could sit there and I'd have breakfast cheap. They were cheap at the time. But they would sit there and just deliver tea to me. And I was in an environment where other people were around, right? But I was still alone. Yeah, so it's Starbucks, but I paid to have, my own little place. I never felt guilty. And they always liked, it's kind of like going into Cheers. Hi, Mike. You having tea today? Great. It makes you feel special. So, but that's my personality. I don't want to be alone. Other people are like, I have to have it be alone. I'm like, no, I can stick some headphones in and listen to heavy metal and be anywhere. But that's personal. Find it out for yourself. What is it that you need? Don't allow yourself to go, if I only had. So up here, a little bit. So up here, that's actually, words written on glass, and that's the shower, if you will. For the longest time, I told myself, I want white walls, like whiteboard walls where I could write. My life would be so much better if I had this. Eventually, a year and a half later, I go, wait a minute, I got a lot of glass in this room. I bet I could write on that. So, down in the corner, so wife doesn't get upset, I test it out. And I erase it, and I test it again, I erase it. And I can do this. And I start writing all over this shit, man, for 2 or 3 days. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's been 2 weeks probably since I worked on this crap. I haven't touched it since. And it's like my head got captured with the imagination of what I could do if I just had a whiteboard.
Yeah. So on the one hand, it's about like letting go of some things, but also thinking outside of the box about your writing environment.
Absolutely. What is it? My dad never understood that if I turned up music in headphones, I could focus and study because he couldn't. So he assumed I couldn't. And I'm like, man, that's the TV will drive me to distraction if it's on in the background.
Yeah, don't talk to me if my face is looking at a TV. I'm not gonna hear you at
Well,
all.
but that's it, right? But how many people are like, oh, I put TV on just as, something to have it in the background. I'll be doing this.
I know, I'm the same way. I'm just like,
Yeah.
and then it's gone. I'm like, oh shit, that was like 45 minutes, and I had one cent. Fuck, you know. But that was a good episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode. It was in order to help me understand the creative juice. I will use that idea in the future. I am
I
so
needed
happy I did
to,
that.
yeah, I needed to know deeper about that particular character type.
We make excuses. So the answer, honestly, is each person is different. Don't assume that what works for you will work for me or vice versa. Find out what bugs you and try it a little bit. Do the cheap version because God only knows if I had actually made one of these walls and, spent $600 to make it a whiteboard, I'd be pissed right now.
It's fucking whiteboard.
It's exactly, you know.
That's good advice. Definitely what's feasible for you. What do you like? What do you not like? Do you like to be around people? Do you not like to be around people? Do small noises bother you, distract you? You
Are you
know?
using it as an excuse not to write?
Yeah, that too. That too.
I see Lauren's like, yeah, maybe.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, the last one is I'm just going to read it. How do you maintain a business-oriented approach? Oh, okay, so this one might be thinking back to, maybe not, to earlier years or what you see in others. How do you maintain a business-oriented approach even as a part-time author? So like me, I still have a day job. Like I still
Mhm.
have to get up, get dressed, go to the day job, clock in, clock out.
Do you hate your day job? Do you like it? That's usually the first question I have to ask.
So I don't hate it. I actually, if I did not have that day job, I would not have written those first 4 books.
Okay. So I
Just
understand that.
just because it allowed me the space to write
Hmm.
without having my daughter constantly at my ear.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, you're probably in the worst position. Like, oh, I'm pretty happy with my day job, which means you're,
I but I could say goodbye.
well, you can say goodbye, but some people hate their jobs. And by God, when you hate something, you will do a lot more and overcome a lot more in order to get out of it. But if you're okay with it, man, it is really more challenging. So, not a suggestion, but if you had a really crappy job, you'd probably get out of it quicker.
I would have, if I hated it, I would have quit 5 years ago. Like if I didn't like a job, it would buy a job. You know, I'm not going to stay here and kill
Yeah.
myself.
So in order to keep the business aspect, I think it does tie back into your mountain. What is it? What's really important to you? I didn't have a normal experience. I had my own company. I had a client that I had already set up that they had to pay me at the beginning of the month, and if they didn't use me, tough shit. you know. So they were really busy on something, and I had a project, but no one could ever get to me the whole month. So I'd get paid every beginning of every month, $5,000, and no work, month after month. And they never blamed me. It was never a problem. So all of a sudden now my creativity is not being used. So my creativity well is going higher and higher. And I have this desire to get it done. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to start needing me. I'd better go after my goal like nobody's business. And so I buckled down and, worked to make it happen. And that was kind of my own personal, but for a lot of the people that I talked to, it's different. My kids were in sophomores in high school, juniors. Fortunately, I showed them what was going on back in the very beginning. So they saw me go from nothing to where I am. And I think that's, one of the legacies. I'm really proud to see that they saw it. They were taught that, it can be done. Now, whether or not they believe it, I can't help, but they were part of it. And, what is it that's going to get you to write another one? Publish. I mean, if you're really scared of publishing, write something with 10,000 words, create a pen name, go publish it just so you understand what it is. Because think about for those that have done paper stock markets, if you've ever done a stock market on paper, you know that, man, you do not act the same if you ever go to the stock market, because all of a sudden that $1,000 means a hell of a lot more. And you're like, it's down a penny. It's like, dude, you just lost like $10. What the hell is your problem? Ah, my $10, I've lost it. But if it's on paper, you're able to flow it. So get it out there. I say push the fucking button, hit publish, go learn. So even if you happen to say have a book with an editor and you really don't know when it's going to come out, maybe you could go and publish something else. Just go publish it. That would work too. And then apologize profusely like I did when what editing wasn't all up to bar.
There you go. Maybe I need to make my initial mountain higher to give myself more of a reason to work harder, I guess.
Yeah. It could be. Business is not freaking easy. One of the things we say all the time in the group is, this is a business. The answer is work hard. And a lot of people are like, no, I don't want that one. I want the easy answer. Push the button, publish a book, make $1 million. Highly freaking unlikely. And I would suggest TradPub be the way you go.
Which I don't want to do. No, I don't want to do that.
There you go.
So you may have already kind of answered this one, but I really like the way I wrote it. It's like my one question I had on there that I wrote, so I'm going to read it. So what comes first, the cover or the story? Essentially, what does your typical write the story to release look like?
Yeah, hashtag probably everybody's different. Yes. I've talked to people, authors who acquire covers because like, oh, that is a great cover, and they'll buy it. May Sage is the world's probably worst that I know of. She's like, she as far as I know, she probably has 20 or 30 covers for some time. She can't help. It's like a lady buying shoes. May Sage is like a lady buying shoes with covers. So you can get, creatively engaged with the cover. I start with the character, not even the story. I start with the character and decide, what are the 3 traits about this character? Usually 2 of them good, 1 of them, weird, character-based. So Bethany Ann, my main character, is all about justice, which is not the same as being legal. And she's all about making sure she has family close. She keeps her friends and whatever protection. And then she loves Coca-Cola, not Pepsi, And so you have that one. Yeah, and then I tend to do that with my characters. So I start characters, and when I have the set of characters that I just want to be with, then I'll craft a story that goes with it. Very similar but different medium, Star Wars. Check out the story of how George Lucas decided who were going to be the characters for Luke and Han and Leia. And, Han, what's the actor's name for Han? Oh, man.
Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford?
Yes, thank you. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford, which a lot of people know, was actually just working on the wood. He was a carpenter. Now, he had already been actor, so it's not like whatever, but he was a stand-in. So, they're just like, oh, crap, we have these people, but we need, hey, you, come over here and read these lines. See how these people work together.
What? For real?
That is awesome.
For real. Yeah.
Wow.
So I personally, I don't do cover or story, although, conceptually, I like the character. I've done collaborations with people, and they're like, all right, what's the story? I'm like, hold on. Let's find out some characters that we both think we could take to go see a movie, and I'd like to just watch that scene. Give me some popcorn. These characters going to a movie would be freaking hilarious. And that's, where we started. So, choice 3.
I don't feel so crazy now because I've probably written, I don't know, maybe 10 different random small scenes with different characters and different types of personalities, and I'm just like, I have no idea where this is going. And then it was really bugging me that I didn't have the story. I was just kind of playing with the characters, so I don't feel so crazy. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I mean, there's some things that I would do, and once again, probably another video because I've already taken you 15 minutes past where we need to go. But there are a lot of understood rules about what to and not to do when writing your stories that I don't agree in. One of those is like everyone's first story is about themselves. They're the character. And that's a horrible thing. And I'm like, really? Because once again, made millions of good points why it worked for me, except I'm not a female. And I do it with my collaborators as well, where they're trying to create someone and go, well, what do you know? Tell me about you. Sarah Nofke, we've done a lot of books together, both in Orus Aaron and Cthulhu Gambit. And finally, I not sat her down because she was on the other side of this, but I'm like, tell me a little bit more about yourself. Where are you at? Because you're snarky as hell. You're a petite woman who's really snarky. Why aren't you writing urban fantasy? She's like, well, I'm kind of known for doing this. But do you like urban fantasy? Oh, I read it all the time. I'm like, God dang. I know because I'm working with her that she has a cat she loves to talk about, or actually the cat annoys the shit out of her. And I'm like, okay, so why don't we create a female urban fantasy, go back to genre and income, and let's, you are the character, so let's create a few things. It's like, okay, this character is going to have a cat, which is going to bother the crap out of her. I go back to Steve Jobs with his thing of 3. As human beings, 3 items tends to be about the max that we do. So I tend to create first book 3 characters. And so we had her, we had the cat. Now I need one more thing, which is going to be the foil to you. And we ended up creating a giant character. Wrap all of this up, and now she's got books where at one point we had the first 4 books and the box set all had a bestseller tag on them.
That's
so,
cool.
You delve into your life. What makes you tick? I hated Samsung. When they ripped off Apple, now I understand why they did it as a corporate culture, but when they ripped off and they wouldn't admit it, that pissed me off so bad, because it's not justice. Because it's like, I'm not even arguing right. Just pay the freaking $1 billion because you guys went from nothing to something. And in your country, that's understood. Well, over here, it's not. I couldn't buy a Samsung item. I wouldn't, do anything. They finally paid Apple, and they got it down to 300 something million, I think. But they finally admitted whatever, and they paid their money. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll buy a Samsung again. Justice was there. Yeah, justice was served. And so my character, Justice, is one of those things and I can write that with passion because that's who I am.
That's awesome. John Bear Ross is.
Oh, go ahead and say that.
Oh yeah, it was John Bear Ross in the chat saying, "Mr. Anderle, you really helped me get over my hangups and just push publish things."
Yeah, he pushed the fucking button. T-shirt.
I pushed the fucking button. That should be a T-shirt.
Yes. So thank you for that. And then you were going to say something, Lauren?
Oh, I was going to say, so think about who you are as a person and figure out what qualities you're passionate about, qualities that get you through the whole book, if you're writing about them with a main character, and that you think will relate to that character and help them get through the story.
Yeah, then if you have a situation where you have a scene going, and I've had it a few times where I'm like, oh, what, just really not feeling the scene. I'm not feeling the scene. Nothing stops us from changing it to where something happens to piss you off. Write this fucking scene. I'm killing your ass, you useless son. 3,000 words later, you're like, oh man, that was a great scene. Did you tap into yourself at that point?
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, my brain just went off to like all these different.
No, that gives you that'll help you to work your way out of that scene when you get stuck. Definitely.
Yeah. Ta-da.
So we are 20 minutes over. I could keep talking, but I'm sure our audience is like, we want to keep listening, but eventually it has to end. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Michael. We super appreciate it.
I'm honored to be here.
Yes. Let our viewers and listeners know where they might be able to find you and your work.
Wow. Typically Amazon, we are a little bit wide, but Michael Anderle or LMBPN Publishing. We have about 500 titles, 160 audio titles. We're putting out about 4 to 6 a week. Almost 99% of them are on Kindle Unlimited, so you can make Amazon pay you to read. You give them $9.99. You can go read $50 worth of books. We would appreciate that a lot. And then, of course, 20 books to 50K. If you would like to understand, when I created the group, I only had 2 rules. And this is part and parcel to another discussion, but don't try to sell your own stuff there, because there are a lot of authors who have no money and they will feel guilty and go buy something when they really can't afford it. So I wouldn't even allow people to put stuff in order so someone else wouldn't feel emotionally troubled. The second one is, don't be a dick. They've made that rule a lot nicer since I started it, but
we all know what it means.
Yeah, it's like, really, it's like, we have to tell you, my concept was, you're an adult. I'm accepting everybody, and we toss your ass out really quick if you want to be a dick. And so over the years, that's gotten a lot of people upset with us when they got their asses tossed out, and they've gone on and said bad things. But ergo, you're just now proving our point again. There's no money in it, which we've had. I can tell a story, but that there's a major distributor that is worth probably close to $1 billion. They looked hard trying to figure out where our profit was coming in for a 20 books event in Vegas. They couldn't figure it out. And so I'm talking to the guy who's relating it, and I'm like, well, that's because we don't have any. Trust me, my bank account shows I don't get any income from this. But they don't understand it. And the answer is we're just giving back. We have been successful. I know what it means to make $200 and do Infamil. I know what that's like. And we can do it with what we're doing now. I do tend to believe that, our entertainment from that perspective, we need new readers. It's like everyone's like, oh, 50 Shades of Grey is a horrible book. Well, it grabbed how many million new readers? I'm really happy for that. That's fantastic. People liked it, or they talked about it. I don't have a problem with that. And they're still talking about it and buying it. So I understand, thanks to Amy, a great friend, why people like literary books. Their dopamine hits are completely different than mine. And I was like, I didn't even know there were strange people like you. So fortunately, she took that phrase in the way I meant it, which was humorous. But there's a lot of, so LMBPN Publishing, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Amazon, you can occasionally find us on Kobo, and Apple and some of the other places. And then we typically hit the 4 majors. We'll be at New York, we're BEA, Book Expo. We were in London, we'll be in London again. We're in Frankfurt for the 3rd time. We'll be in Beijing the 2nd time. So we hit all the majors.
That's a lot of traveling.
A ton of traveling.
Michael is everywhere, essentially. If you throw a pin in an ocean, you will hit Michael. So, to everyone in the live chat, thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know what you thought about us thought about the show in the comments. And show your support with a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the bell, so you always know when we exactly. Otherwise,
I'm just trying to get you messed up.
I'm getting better. Well, we've got more shows going on. For Lauren Moore, I'm Keelan Williams. Thank you for joining us on your writer's journey. We'll see you next time to talk about some reading, writing, and everything in between, right here on Keystroke Medium.